the ERC 1155 contract. So basically, I have reworked it and extended it. So now it's very much more complete than before. So I might share my screen so you can see.
I started the recording.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, let's go. So I will present my work on ERC 1155 on RChain. So basically, there is this repo, which is the first one. This is the basic repo for ERC 1155 token on RChain. So you can read about it in the README file. So basically, you have a bunch of actions you can perform. So one is create token. And the other is set locked. So those two actions are only available to the owner of the contract. And once the contract is locked, even the owner cannot perform those operations. So he has just the same capabilities as any user interacting with the contract. So basically, the tokens become really free when the contract is locked. So, so this is the first contract. You might read the code if you want. So it's this code. So you can see here the channels. So basically, you can read tokens just to know who owns what amount of what token. Then you can read the tokens data. So basically, this contract is agnostic. Tokens can represent money, they can represent pizzas, they can represent tickets for a show or anything. So this is stored on the token data channel. So as the owner, before locking the contract, you can update those data to represent anything you want. Then there is the read. So those three channels are read channels, just to read the data. Then you might want to lock the contract. Of course, you cannot unlock it. Update token data. This action is also available only when the contract is not locked. Because, for example, if you set a token to represent a pizza, someone buy it, and then you change the data so that it represents a bicycle, it has no sense because the user bought a pizza, not a bicycle. So you cannot change tokens data once the contract is locked. And then you have the create token. So this is basically at Genesis. When you deploy this contract, you want to create tokens. At first, there is no token. So you can see here the payload. So there is type checking. So that's great. When you create a token, you must provide a signature just so Rowling can check that you are the owner. Then quantity, how much. For example, if you are a pizza store, you might want to put 1 billion here so that people can just buy pizzas. But if you create, for example, shares for your company, you will just create 100 shares and people might buy 1 or 2 or 10. So this is different depending on what you want. Then, so N is just an incremental number. So it's the idea of the token. And price, you might want to set a price for one unit of one token. So if we take a look at this, so tokens are stored in this channel. And so basically, I'm just quickly giving a description of how I store tokens. So basically, it's stored by unique ID. Unique ID is just like an ownership ID, so it increments So you might possess 3 tokens with so basically you'll have 3 entries in this map. So the public key, it's your public key, and corresponds to the given token data. Price here. So basically, when you buy some tokens, you have an entry in this map. So basically, price can be nil. This means that no one will be able to buy the tokens that you own, because you don't want them to be sold. But if you put an int here, an integer, so you can say 10, people will be able to buy those tokens from your stock that is in this key. And then quantity, so you, of course, you have no control over this. If you bought 20, you will have 20. And then if someone buys 2 from you, you will have 18. And the second person will have another entry with quantity 2. So this is all handled by the contract, of course. There is no token creation. So the second repository is this repository, dapp ERC 1155 manager. So this allows you to, it's just like an admin panel for token management. So at first, I will copy this. At first, when you arrive, so I am in the dapp browser, of course. Right now, I am connected to the testnet, not the mainnet. So this has been deployed on the testnet. So I will reload the dapp on dapp, so that we start with a brand new page. So basically, when you arrive on the home page, you just have 3 sections. And at first, you can just choose to deploy a new contract. So I will do this, but we won't wait for the response to come. So basically, I have deployed a contract to the blockchain. So we will see, okay, so this is the raw line code. And after some time, I will see the result in this section, the result of the execution. So right now, I don't see it, but since I don't want to wait, I will copy the registry URI of another deployed I did few hours ago. So I will load it. So what dapp does when I hit load is sending explore deploys to the RChain node, so it can read data from the blockchain. So now my dapp has recovered the information it needs. So we can see that in token data, there is 1 token, and the data associated with it is an object with name Pizza Regina. So basically it describes a pizza. And we can see in the token ownerships that someone owns 10,000 of those pizzas. So basically it is the store, and the price is 3. So basically this is an admin panel or a general purpose interface, but the pizza guy might develop an appropriate UX and UI for people to buy pizza. So I can buy a token using this section. So I just have to tell how much I want, like 5, and I have to select the token, which is the token 0. So basically, it will cost me 15 revet, as we call it right now, because the price is 3 and not 3 revs, so it's very cheap. So when I hit purchase, of course, the dapp does not manage private keys, so it is dapp that does it. So I have, eventually I can check the code to see what I am going to sign as a user. So this is the code basically to purchase some tokens. And I think quickly input my password. Okay, so I have sent the transaction. So I should see it soon here. And a bit later, we will see this section being uploaded with one new entry in the token's ownership. So there will be two entries, one of the shop and the other of the client who purchased some tokens. So we can also see that this contract, this token is not locked. So maybe the term token is not very wise, because you might have multiple tokens for one contract. For example, I can create another pizza as since I am the owner of the contract, so I can do it. If a user try to do it without having the proper identity, he won't be able to. It will be refused by rolling. So the price will be 4 this time, and I just create the token. So same thing. Okay, so now I guess we just have to wait a bit for the transaction to be executed and for the block to be recovered by the read-only node, because these are the logs of node 2. But we need the read-only node to get those informations too, because dapp queries read-only node. So let's see. So this is a create token. Okay, so purchase successful, token created. So the two executions went well. The first to purchase and the second one to create another token. So let's try to refresh. Network load. So one new thing also with the next release of dapp is that we will be able to send multiple export deploys in just one call. So it's very handy. You just put the array of rolling terms in your call. So the call is the following: dapp RChain dot export deploy. So this is the function that every dapp has access to and can call to read stuff from the blockchain. And basically, you can put a bunch of rolling terms in as argument. So this is what I do here. So let's try to refresh it again. And again, this is not very safe, because as a client, I am purchasing pizzas, or I am, for example, buying shares of a company, and the contract is not locked, so it is not very safe. I should have waited for the administrator, the owner of the contract, to lock the contract first. It's just like if you have an ERC 20 token on Ethereum, and if someone has the power to take it back, so this is not safe. Okay, so basically we'll just have to wait, but it might take too much time. So so that's it. This application will be available by default in the next release of dapp. So it will be in the default tabs here. And yes, I hope that some people start playing with it, or eventually check the code, because it's rather important that the code is safe. So I hope people check it and start playing with it in the future.
Great. Thank you, Raphael. You're doing tremendous work there. I'm curious with Theo and with Patrick. I know we still need to get the RChain asset tracker up to speed, and maybe this is a question for Raphael as well. How would the ERC 1155 manager interface with the RCat asset tracker? Or is
So basically, yes, we were talking about it maybe a while ago, but I could not find some clear developer introduction to RCat. Basically, the repo was shared with me, but I think it was the repo of a full front-end application. So I did not know where to look at. So basically, I don't know. Technically, I don't know anything about RCat, so I cannot answer.
okay.
I probably don't know, but what's ERCAT? Is it like some sort of engine wallet or something?
Right. So, with the gaming world, so the idea was, you need, you're going to have the metadata that is going to be representative of the sword or shield, and you use that to go from in the metaverse world from game to game. And so the RCAT is part of the engine of of tracking these assets, and it's the piece that connects with RChain. So beyond any great technical explanation, I can't give it justice, but is in this world of tracking assets, that was the offering that RChain had to make it happen. And Jim might be able to provide more of a technical explanation of RCAT. I don't know. Are you, Jim?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. So
that was mostly an infrastructure for storing the songs and caching them.
Yeah, well, so originally it started off as RSong. So that was to be the application that RChain was going to use to get this high transaction volume to really showcase the ability performance of RChain. Well, there were some issues as far as the sound codec and RSong in itself. So it was recognized that, with RSong, if that application was for music, if you strip out the foundation to that, you can apply it to anything, to any asset, whether it's in the supply chain, with fruits and vegetables, or logistics for automotive parts, so what it does exactly and how it works, I can't say, but
Yeah.
I understood.
I remember that there was this idea, for example, of a music band that each of the members of the group share ownership of a token that represents some track or some album. And so basically, they each get paid whenever someone listens to it, or whenever someone accesses or read the token data in some sort. So I guess it highly depends on the nature of the token. But basically, for a music track, yes, the idea was that each track or each album is represented on chain by a token, or a set of tokens which have some ownership properties, linking them to some digital identities and therefore to some real people or real companies. So this is what I heard Greg explain over and over again, but it was
Right.
a while ago. So
Okay.
Do you know how was the music data protected? Like if blockchain is always like public and read for all,
yeah,
how is it possible to like, maybe they use some sort of encryption on chain and kind of give unique keys every time someone purchases or listens to the music?
yes, or I think the idea was to provide a great mobile application so that people would come and would simply agree to pay like half a cent to listen to a song. So maybe that's the idea, because you are right. Since everything is on blockchain platforms, how should you handle encryption? And also, I think ORCAT articulates with short, because music tracks cannot be stored on the root shard of RChain. So I think this project has a great vision, but it's kind of long-term vision. So I cannot. I don't know if it's feasible right now with the actual mainnet.
So with the ERC 1155 manager, your everything that you explained, it was what it can do. So that's functionality. So you're not going to need an RCat or an RSong to provide any capability or additional functionality. You'll be able to do this with what you have currently built. Is that right?
Yeah, but I'll explain to you why. It's very simple. The data associated with my tokens is basically a string with 12 characters. So it weights nothing. It weights nothing. It's obvious that storing this data on root shard is great. For example, this can be any financial data, but not music tracks or files or stuff that is too heavy to be stored on the root shard. So when you have an application, for example, that deals with millions of users and millions of gigabytes, the infrastructure of dapp plus this contract right now is not at all tailored to deal with such a scale.
Okay.
So basically, this is just the Ethereum ERC 1155 on RChain, and so this is the contract, and then there is this manager application on dapp, which is a admin panel to manage those tokens.
Okay. So, I'm thinking in terms of, who's on the call now. So we have Theo and Patrick, so with, their focus, is in the gaming world, gaming engines and the multiverse. And that's how some of the conversations started originally with regards to ERC 1155. So, so I'm interested from Theo, from you, as far as what Raphael's presented. Would you be able to incorporate or leverage what his ERC 1155 manager into the gaming world? Is there enough there, or do you still need additional infrastructure that perhaps RCAT would provide?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ERC 1155 was like proposed by Vitek, who's CEO of Engine, I think. Like it was he who created the ERC 1155 issue. So
and you have to remember that the ERC 1155 is not an application; it's an interface. Okay.
Yeah, it's a standard.
Standard.
Like for
Right.
for a
Standard.
token.
It's a standard
Yeah, it's
interface. Okay. So,
Yeah,
Right.
so it was designed to
Yeah.
make gaming assets tradable. So
So
like if you were trading Steam assets.
So RSong was created without any standard for their assets.
Okay.
There's no reason we couldn't add an interface to it that's ERC
Okay.
1155 compatible.
Okay.
And what that would allow us to do is put them in a marketplace along with the
Okay.
gaming stuff and anything else that's ERC 1155.
But I think we will have to need our own shard for this sort of
Right.
stuff, because I was thinking in order to make a true multiverse, we will have to store like some sort of object data and scripts to like on a blockchain. Because if we just store like this token is a sword and it deals so much damage, it's up to the developer's interpretation to like basically implement this damage and how it looks. And it's not how I see multiverse be implemented. So in terms of standards, I think we can use something like engine file formats to use as standard because it's open source. So if someone using Unity wants to implement or integrate those items in their game, they can just go to the source code and just basically write it in C# instead and read those file formats.
Okay. So, so, you know, I think it's all kind of works towards understanding, you know, so this gaming industry effort, you know, we talked about, you know, the goal of RChain is to get high transaction volume. So in the gaming world, you have lots of users using games. So there's a lot of potential there for a high transaction volume. So, so we talked about, you know, creating our own gaming shard, and then, you know, as far as we get organized, you know, we're all kind of here, you know, under collab, and that's fine. But you know, eventually, you know, as the gaming effort gets, you know, more popular and we bring more people into the fold, you know, perhaps there becomes an RChain gaming community. So, you know, there are certain things that start to, you know, you start to have this specialization. You know, what are the things that need to be specialized in order for the gaming effort to really pick up momentum, mature, and progress?
Well,
so
the first thing is that we don't need to be much better than Engine themselves. So if we actually look at what Engine's suite of products is, it's Game Engine SDK. It's a user interface online to create your tokens. It's the ERC 1155 standard, and it is a very convenient and well-made phone wallet. So I'd say that becoming as good as Engine are on RChain should be the first phase. And we're not that far away, I think, because we've already reasonably well replicated ERC 1155. There's probably some checking of it that needs to be done, and a bit more technical work. But ERC 1155 took Engine ages, because to do this kind of thing on Ethereum, you know, every line of code takes like 40 hours of quality assurance or something. So
tell me about it. Like most of the time, in my case, when I was writing smart contracts on Ethereum, most of the time took just to split the code and put it in libraries, because it kind of gets bigger and bigger, and you can deploy a big piece of code. You have to actually split it in libraries, and it gets more and more bloated as you develop something more complex.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps we could fork is anyone building like a smartphone wallet app for RChain that will manage like different kinds of tokens and things?
Oh, I don't know about that, but there is 3 or 4 wallets now, and 1 or 2 of them are smartphone wallets?
Well, we could start with something that's as simple as like a MetaMask application and a web interface that like lets you see what tokens you own. Because if we're using MetaMask, we can then plug into the private keys of like a hardware wallet or something, and it won't be as slick and good as a smartphone app straight away, but we'll be most of the way there. And definitely investors and things will be able to see what we're doing, and they'll be able to see we can replicate Engine at 1/10 of the cost, and then actually go beyond them because RChain's really special and it lets us do interesting things, make the multiverse possible. But rather than getting into stuff about RCat and running our own nodes, you know, let's just look at the competition and see how good are they and what do we have to do to get reasonably close to them. And I don't think it's an insurmountable challenge at all. I think we can really do it.
In our case, we won't have to rely on a trusted platform like Nginx does. We can actually store some sort of compressed or streamable file formats on chain that are sort of efficient.
Yeah, that's because that's a unique selling point. Is that for Engine to make Engine coin and Engine platform work at scale, everything goes through a centralized platform before it goes onto the Ethereum blockchain. So it's not really decentralized. And we can start to tell a story about how RChain starts to get rid of these intermediary platforms that current blockchain companies are having to use. That's a really powerful message to investors and to consumers as well.
So as you know, as I think about this, and you know, I'm not the developer here. I'm just kind of an idea guy, throwing out ideas and see which ones stick. So I see, you know, Raphael, you know, he's created dapp. You know, it's the platform, a decentralized, you know, web serving up web interfaces. And then we have Theo, who's the game engine developer, and Patrick, who's an idea guy in that space, in the gaming and so forth. So it's how can we take dapp and with the ERC 1155 manager and leverage that with something that Theo's currently working on in order to start to get well, whether it's, you know, awareness or, you know, transactions.
I already have ideas, Steve. So there's two things that Engine have. They have Nginx Asset Exchange, which is an asset exchange for ERC 1155 items. And you can, if you go to Nginx, if you Google Nginx, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you could probably find some of my items on there as well. And then type in Makerverse in the search bar. Makerverse, there you go. That's us. And then if you click on assets,
okay.
Yeah, and then say you click on Time Crystal Shard.
The coolest.
So, and you can click buy, and you can automatically buy one for the low price of 6,000 Engine.
Okay, so I'll buy two tomorrow. Okay, so I can so what is Nginx in comparison to Engine platform?
So Engine platform is the whole suite of applications, which is their asset trading, their blockchain explorer, their wallet, their kind of centralized intermediary graph SQL system, and their smartphone app.
Okay. So maybe I should give some perspectives, because I recognize that I'm sort of always presenting things with my software dapp. So I might just explain how to go from there to there. So so why do I develop stuff on dapp? It's because it's my system, but basically it's because it is very handy for developers to interact with blockchain platform using dapp. This is the front-end code that, for example, sends a transaction to the blockchain. So basically, you just, as a JS developer, you just call this function, and it gets sent to the blockchain. The browser does that work for you. You don't manage network issues. You don't manage your nodes or stuff like that. The code of the web developer is decorrelated from the blockchain platform. So this is kind of one of the selling points of dapp. But this application is a JavaScript application. So of course, it can also run just like this website on legacy browsers. What must be changed is, for example, this code, this function is not available in legacy browsers. You have to deal with something like MetaMask, and eventually you'll have to run your read-only node and to connect your JavaScript to this read-only node. So it's another challenge. But for demo purpose, I have built this application so that all the mechanism can be understood by anyone, by any developer, and you can change anything so that you will, for example, display tokens in a way that is a bit more sexy than this. So basically, if those tokens represent some items with cool images, you just have to change the UX, but the underlying machinery is,
yeah, it's all the same. What you've done is basically the same of what Engine done, but they have 60 developers and you're just one guy. So obviously their one's going to end up looking more flashy and sexy than yours. But we have all the raw material to compete with these people. And what you've done is brilliant, Raphael. You should pat yourself on the back. Genuinely.
Thanks very much. Yeah, but that's it. So I'm kind of doing the basic stuff, so we can. So I hope RChain people and RChain devs will have a look, so we can say, okay, let's get this standard kind of sort of a official label, and then we could build some kind of lots of applications based on it, and eventually a concurrent of Engine platform.
I could probably just like integrate ERC11 contract like inside of Godot, so you can actually see and create assets from inside Godot itself. But what I need is to be able to deploy transactions. So for that, I need protobuf, and that kind of gets a bit complicated.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to not use libraries that I don't have to. Like, for example, if I only restrict myself to HTTP only, I can just write it in JavaScript, and it's going to be a lot easier on developers to just import it in their project and use.
If we want to get some help for Theo from the Godot community to build this protobuf interface, Steve, a nice bounty might help Theo to spread his message and get more interest. That's just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. So that, you know, we're working towards creating the collab coin, and we had a lot of discussion around that. So moving that, you know, getting that to be a real thing, and then, you know, Godot, they have a Discord server where I downloaded that, and I kind of went through some of the different channels. So, you know, as far as, you know, if we create something for that Godot community, there's different channels on how to reach them, you know, through Discord, through
I know how to reach them. I was kind of an early adopter of Godot, so I know all the channels they use. They actually think most use mostly IRC still. Like that's where actual development happens.
Theo, you were talking of the issue you are talking to. Is it about you or about some other devs to come on the RChain platform?
What? I'm sorry.
The issue you are raising about protobufs being complicated stuff, is it from your perspective or from other devs' perspective?
It's from my perspective, because that means I'll have to make this plugin in C++ and actually compile it for all platforms and recompile it for every future version of Godot. So that's a no-go. But if we actually make it JavaScript only, it's going to be a lot easier for everyone. So it's going to make it more accessible. So that's why I thought if maybe Tomislav can help with like constructing the whole like transaction before it can be signed, and signature part I can do myself.
Yeah, and
I can probably rewrite like
yes, for a long time he's been talking about getting rid of this protobuf stuff because even here protobuf is used, dapp uses protobuf to sign the so basically you can't not use protobuf now. So I see your point. Okay.
So
now with Tomislav's Rnode client JS, he's doing deploys there without gRPC, right? I mean, if you just follow that example, it should work, right?
No, not sure, because gRPC is the network protocol to communicate with the node, and protobuf is some sort of encryption mechanism. It is related to gRPC, but for example, dapp encrypts, deploys with protobufs, but then sends those deploys with HTTP. So right now you can deploy with HTTP or gRPC, but you have to use protobufs for encryption or hashing or something like that.
So there's functions, gRPC functions that aren't supported. Is that? You know, I'm trying to think. You know, if
a valid deploy must be the signature. The signature is obtained by doing a protobuf sort of hashing of the payload. And then you get the signature. And once you have that, you can send it through HTTP or gRPC. It does not matter, but you have to do this hash with protobufs. I can.
So protobuf is essential to compose the actual deploy before it can even be signed, which is the problem.
Hi, David.
I can show you in RChain Toolkit. I would very much like to get rid of it, but basically we can't. So this is, so every deploy I do or dapp does, basically you have to, it goes through this line. So you have the deploy data that contains the term, the public key, the flow limits and stuff like that, and it gets encoded with protobufs. So that's the line I would like to get rid of, and TO2, I guess. But right now we have to deal with it.
Okay. First off, I want to say hello, David. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So this is the dapp developer working group, and Lamuet Raphael, who's online, he's sharing his screen. He's been he's the creator of dappy.tech, and he's been showing the ERC 1155 manager that he's recently created. So fortunately, we've been recording this entire session. So once we're done, Jim will post this on the on YouTube. So it'll be in the DiviDAO channel. So you're welcome to go back and watch this whole watch the whole session. Are you David? Are you a developer? What is your interest in RChain?
Well, I've heard Patrick mention RChain for the last year or so, and I didn't think anything of it. Just another, probably just another coin. But then last night he showed me a slide deck, and I saw this brief reference to Rolang. So I was like, wait a minute, Rolang. Okay, that's intriguing. I went and looked it up. I was like, oh, this is fascinating. There's something here. This is not just another coin. You got Rolang. That's so that interests me. I mean, I used to do Linux kernel programming, device drivers, and then 10 years ago, I was out of work because of disability and so forth. I just switched over to, I thought it's time I learned Lisp. So I've been doing functional language programming, and over the last year or two, I've been learning Haskell. So you get into the computers.
Greg will love you if you know Haskell. And
I don't know it. I only got to chapter 5, but I'm plugging away at it. It's it's not as quick and dirty as Lisp was.
Very good. Well, welcome. So I put in the chat a link to the collab. We're a RChain community, all of us here. So we would love for you to come back and participate in the discussions, and to kind of be in the know what's going on. You're welcome to click on that, go to that link that I provided, and if you have Discord already, or if you need to download it, join, and you can kind of be in the conversation. I've got another meeting here in about 6 minutes that I need to go off to. But I think with this conversation we're having around the ERC 1155 manager and with gaming engine, I think we're on to something. You know, I get a feeling that we're kind of laying the bricks for the next step. Typically, we only meet once a week, for this dapp developer session. What I'd like to do is have, this conversation, continue it, but I'd like to create a document as far as what we've created, what we have, what the idea is to take, what Raphael's created, where Theo is at with what he's working on, and, and figure out how to leverage everything in our skills. And in addition to that, the collab coin, and with, David, if, you're certainly welcome to be engaged and be a part of all this, but to pick up the conversation. What does everyone's schedule look like on Tuesdays? Today's Tuesday. On Thursday around this same starting time. I think it was 6 p.m. Raphael's time, which is 2 p.m. here in the States. But well, first off, do we want to continue this conversation
Yeah, of
later
course.
in the week?
I think
Okay.
the community token and the art on the blockchain applications of the 1155 are the two areas that we want to look at in addition to the gaming.
So I think, Jim, we got to get the community token, get that kind of working, because that's going to be the mechanism. When Patrick said, create a bounty to get others to kind of work on these components in Godot. So any bounty system, it's going to evolve around the community token. That's going to be the mechanism. So if we kind of get that structure, get that, start developing that, and then getting a plan and strategy, our a gaming strategy. So essentially, it's we're kind of a project within a project. We're the gaming project inside Collab, utilizing the Collab's coin and so forth. So anyway, I'll coordinate in Discord in the Collab channel for us to meet again on Thursday. You guys are welcome to continue on here. I just have to drop off. Jim's recording, so I can certainly go back and watch more of the discussion.
Unfortunately, I have to leave on the hour also.
You got to leave on the hour? Okay. So
I'll probably save it for tomorrow, for the next meeting.
Yeah. So, but hey, David, welcome. I'm glad you, Patrick introduced you to RChain, and you're now experiencing the RChain community. We're part of what's called the Collab, a bunch of blockchain enthusiasts who are excited about blockchain and RChain and want to do cool things.
Thank you. Yeah, it takes a while to figure out Zoom.
Oh yeah, and Patrick, maybe you can work towards helping David get set up on Discord so he can be in part engaged in the conversation.
Oh, I just joined. Patrick
Oh, you
sent
did?
me the links.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm on there as Mycroft.
So with the MYCRAFT.
Yes.
Okay.
That's me.
I'll certainly look for you.
So did we decide to meet on Thursday at this time, or what did we decide?
Okay, yeah, maybe we can do that now. So we started. It was 2:00 Eastern Daylight Time that we started. So with all your respective time zones that everyone's in. So basically, the same time we started for the this dapp developer session, we'll come back Thursday.
6 p.m. UTC.
6 p.m. UTC. Exactly. Yep. Okay. So we'll see everyone back. I'll see everyone back here on Thursday. We'll pick up the conversation. But this is looking good. I appreciate everybody's time.
Great.
Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, cheers.
Appreciate you coming. Nice meeting you, David. See you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Rao.
Yeah.
Rao, we're just.
Steve,
Hey, Rao.
I need to go into the other meeting, but I was trying to do something with Jim on a server. I just want to get that resolved.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're all dropping
I'll
off.
Get in a little bit.
Okay, I'll stop the recording.
I got to head off to another meeting.